Hey everybody, this is Carla with Cobweb Corner, and normally this is a channel about cross stitch, but today it is minus 30-degree wind chill in Iowa, and I decided to start looking at some of my machine embroidery projects that I have. I'm supposed to be finishing a Christmas quilt, but you know, Christmas is over, so I never want to work on things that aren't seasonal. So I went through my stash of things that I had bought, and I found this Kimberbell Love Notes box. This is a box. I'm going to go just show you what's in it and then show you the finished design. But last summer I was at the quilt shop hop in Dubuque, Iowa, at a quilt shop called Quilt This. And they, in addition to quilting fabric, they also sell machine embroidery items. Specifically, they carry Kimberbell. And it's pretty hard to find quilt shops that also carry machine embroidery items. So I always like to go there on the shop hop. And they had a clearance table, and this was on the clearance table. And you'll notice it says fabric kit, but when I opened it there and looked at it, it was the entire kit of everything I need to make the quilt. So, and it was like, I don't know, 40 or 50% off. It was a really good deal. So this is what, I'm going to show you a picture of it. This is what the quilt will look like if I ever finish it. It's just a super fun, it's got 3 little cameras. It says, "We just click, you make me smile. Always better together." And then it's got typewriters that have little messages on them and little mailboxes for Valentine's. And then the one thing I liked is this jar pouring hearts down into this envelope. And then there's a space up here to hang pictures or personalize in some way. And then there's another larger mailbox over here. So that's what it will look like if I ever get it done. So I just wanted to show you what's in the box and how kind of these come together, come when you get the Kimberbell kits. So like I said, this was just usually they're sold in 3 separate parts. You can buy the pattern, you can buy the fabric kit, and you can buy the embellishments. And this particular box happened to have everything in it. And the way this worked was, it was actually originally a mystery stitch, and people received an envelope. They got the kit and they received an envelope, I think once a week in the month of January, whenever this came out. And I'll go through, I've only opened 2 of the envelopes, I think, or 1, I think 2, and I'll just go show you. But first, what's in the kit. So you get the CD in this case, and the patterns come sometimes they'll come on usually they come on a CD, which is kind of old school. Sometimes they'll come on a flash drive. And then I need to take these off of the flash drive or the CD and get them moved to my embroidery machine. So I'll do that. So that's the actual patterns. And then it's got the mystery envelopes with, I think you did like a separate row. I think it was 4 weeks of January, and each week you worked on a separate row, and then you had to piece it together after that and finish the back and stuff like that. So you got the envelopes, which would give you what you were supposed to work on each week. Then you got a really nice embellishment pack. There's all kinds of things in here. There's a zipper, there's ribbon, cording, a bunch of felt, and some craft vinyl. So all different kinds of things that I'll be using to finish the different parts of the quilt. And then we have all this fabric. I mean, look at this. So everything you need. There's just so many different kinds of fabric. And oh, here's the timeline. Actually, it was stitched in August. So if you signed up with a participating shop, then you would get your different envelopes, 5 different envelopes, and you would work on them either together. I think the way the Quilt This shop did it was they actually came in and they worked each week on site. So the way Kimberbell works, if you've never done machine embroidery and are interested at all, is Kimberbell, their instructions, I think, are second to none. They're extremely easy to follow and very, very, very detailed with full color pictures for everything. Sometimes their patterns and their books can be kind of expensive, but you really appreciate the detail that they put into it when you're done. Now, one of the methods that they do is the first thing you do is you cut all your fabric that you're going to need. And their method for organization is to use baggies and put the baggies in. This case, they're suggesting to keep your baggies by rows. So you would cut the fabric, label a bag, and say, so example, this is the Say Cheese block. So you're basically a different bag for every block on the quilt. And so I'm going to use Ziploc bags, small Ziploc bags, and then I use these kind of plastic folders. So I'll probably have 4 of these for the 4 different rows, and I'll put row 1, row 2, row 3, and I use a dry erase marker. And then I'll put all the fabric and the embellishments I need by row into each of these to help me keep them organized. And those are on my Amazon shop if you're interested. This is a really, really popular method for keeping things organized when you're doing machine embroidery. So that's the first thing. I'll get that ready. But then I will go through, the first step I need to do is to go through all of the fabric that I have. And again, I don't know how many different things there are. And it will tell me specifically, so for this fabric right here, it tells me what I need, where it's used, what row it's on the quilt, and how many I need and what size I need to cut it. So for this fabric here, they gave me a fat 16th. I need to find it in my pile. And I know that it's going to be used on 3 border blocks and assigned fabric 2, it says, on rows 2 and rows 4. And then I'm going to need 1 2.5 by 2.5, 1 4 by 3, and actually 3 2.5 by 2.5 out of that fabric. So for each one of the fabrics, I know where they're going to be used and what size I going to need. But then what they do, and here's all the different fabrics. But then what they do, and they also do it for the embellishments. So you can separate the embellishments. But then what they do is they give you a diagram for every fabric and tell you how to lay it out so that you make sure you cut it correctly and don't use fabric. You end up having enough fabric, that you don't cut it incorrectly and then end up not having enough fabric. So they tell you how to lay everything out, and this is super, super helpful. So I can just find my yellow polka dot fabric, which happens to be right here. I know I'm going to need a 10.5 by 12.5, 8.5 by 6.5, and an 8.5 by 8.5. And I can just lay this out, and I know exactly how I need to cut it. So that's what I'm going to do first. I will let you guys know how that goes. This part usually takes hours just to get the fabric ready, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to go forward and start piecing it together. So let me know what you think, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.